Good afternoon, Bears. How are you today? Chef Joe Pina, your campus executive chef, here again in the Bears kitchen. I'm hanging out here at ECC, getting ready for everybody to come on back and really start up the program for the year. Very special guest today, my good friend Luis Paredes. He's going to introduce himself, and we're going to cook an amazing meal today.
Hey, thanks, Joe. Thank you for having me here today. It is really a pleasure to be cooking up something delicious. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Luis Paredes. I work in the Office of Institutional Diversity. And essentially, my job is to make sure that everyone and anybody can exist on campus happily and have an opportunity to succeed and be successful.
That's great. Luis, I am so happy to have you today. I know this is one of your recipes that is dear and super dear to your heart. The Lomo Saltado, which is a classic Peruvian beef dish. I'm going to kind of start off in the first part here because one of the best parts of the dish is one of the things that everybody loves, which is French fries. We're going to do some homemade French fries. We've got some potatoes already cut here. You want to cut them, soak them in some water, really get some of that starch out of them. And then, pat them dry, get the water out of there, pat them dry. We have a fryer here. We're going to cook them at about 300 degrees. And we're going to do it for about 3 minutes. We're going to put those in, and it's called the double fry. So that once after about 3 minutes, they're soft. We're going to let them sit. You generally want to let them sit for about, 15, 20 minutes. And then you put the second fry. You get it up to about 350 degrees. You fry them. They're super crispy and delicious. We're going to pinch a little bit of salt on them today. And I can't wait to have them. The first step is getting these at least blanched off in the oil. So let's start that now.
All right, let's do that.
Awesome.
All right.
Beautiful. I hear the sizzle sizzle. I'm excited. While that is going, we're going to start the dish. And Luis, it's different for me. Usually I'm the one leading the Bears in the kitchen. But it's all on you today, my friend. Let's do this.
Let's do it up. All right, Joe. So the ingredient calls for some beef. Tenderloin, that's what Lomo stands for in Spanish for the most part. So you want to thinly slice it. To it, you want to add some salt to taste, right? But let's be careful with it. So we're going to add some salt. We're also going to use some pepper. I like pepper, so I like to put a little extra there.
Me too. I like a good flavor.
And then for an extra kick, we're going to add some cumin, just a little bit, just for a hint of flavor, just a little bit of cumin.
Yeah, because if you go crazy, this can really overtake a dish.
It can, yes, and we're going to be careful with it. All right, so for the magic to happen, Joe, we want to use a little bit of a secret, some vinegar. The vinegar is going to tenderize the beef while
this is just your traditional red wine vinegar.
Yes.
Beautiful.
And then we're going to add just a little bit, maybe 2 teaspoons of soy sauce.
Awesome.
Just for that extra layer of salt. All right. And the important ingredient, one of the important ingredients, garlic. So we're going to use some garlic to the meat.
I love the garlic. It's so good, especially when you add some good spice to it as well. Delicious.
Oh, you know it. With that vinegar, it's going to do its magic. All right, so once we have that garlic in there, we're going to use the indispensable ingredients, right? This is ají amarillo. This is a Peruvian pepper. And actually, don't be afraid to make this dish because, Joe, you can actually find this anywhere for the most part. I live in Providence, and I can find these in local markets. Go to the global part of the supermarket, and you should be able to find this pepper, ají amarillo, or any other bodega or specialized Latin place.
I've used it. It is delicious, and I know it's going to add the right amount of spice to this dish. And while we're at it, let's not forget about our French fries that are cooking at the same time.
That's right.
Out now, and we're going to let them sit for a little bit because that's the first part of the blanching process. And we'll get those over there, and you can rest them. I mean, obviously, if a good fryer at home like Luis has over there, you can just lift up the basket, let them rest. I've got a pot of oil, so if you're doing it on the stove, you're going to want to grab a plate, maybe some paper towels, and just let them rest over.
Yeah. All right, then. So while that's happening, We're gonna let this marinate.
I got it.
Preferably for about an hour, you know. Use your hands to give it that extra flavor so that it can really
Imagine that beat.
you know, yes. So preferably, Joe, I would marinate this for an hour, cover in the fridge, and get it to room temperature right before you fry it, because you want the actually the skillet to be certainly hot, because that's going to sear all of the juices. It's going to make the beef taste a lot better.
That's very important to the process of cooking it, is that making sure that when you're sealing in all that stuff, I mean, you're in actuality, you're sealing in the flavor into the dish.
That's right. So while I get these gloves into my hands, they're giving me a little bit of a problem here.
Well,
we're gonna
that's the way it has to go, right?
We're gonna pour some oil, just some regular vegetable oil, into your skillet. So I would say about 3 tablespoons. You want to make sure that it's hot, so you can see the steam right there. And at this point, you want to grab your beef and pour it into the skillet. You're going to hear that sizzling right there. That's exactly what you want. All of it. We don't want to miss anything.
Get that nice hot sear as soon as it hit the pan to give a really great color. It'll really kind of caramelize anything that's in there, because there is a little bit of sugar in the peppers too, and that'll really help with the color.
That's right. And this is going to cook fairly fast, Joe. So at this point, once you see your beef turning brown, maybe give it another 30 seconds or so. Make sure you're constantly tossing it. At this point, you want to add some onions, just thinly sliced red onions. Add them to the beef. As my grandmother says, Joe, you always have to add layers of flavor, right? So I would add another pinch of salt as we add onions. Maybe a little pinch of pepper too. Why not? You know, extra flavor never goes wrong.
No, never does. Never does, my friend. I agree.
So while that is happening, can you smell it? Can you smell that vinegar?
Oh, you can smell it. It's kind of like, it starts almost like what they call deglazing, which is kind of taking all the stuff that sears the meat on the bottom and really kind of brings up that flavor through the pan. It's delicious.
Right. Okay, so you don't want your onions to be overcooked, because you want that crunch. You want that crunch of the onion. You want that tenderness of the beef. With French fry too, you want to have layers of textures, right? So we don't want to overcook those onions. So to avoid that, let's add some tomatoes. Quarter some tomatoes, some red tomatoes. Add them to the pan. And
that makes it really hearty too.
Yes, and they're nicely red. And you know, they're going to start releasing their natural juices, and it's gonna add another very pleasant layer of flavor to the dish.
Yeah, and the great thing about tomatoes is they have pectin in them, and they'll help thicken up the pan sauce that ends up coming from here. That can get right onto the rice, so that'll be really good.
Yes. So we'll let that cook, and you can also see how some juices are forming, right? This is how it's looking. It's looking pretty good. So you can get a chance at it. So you want to cook it. At this point, I like to add a little bit more soy sauce, because it just elevates that flavor. Now that everything is kind of like dancing together, right? Marinating together in the pot, I like to add another splash of soy sauce for flavor. It just elevates it a little bit more.
I love the fusion. I love the fusion of culture in this dish.
You know, this is actually the perfect example of diversity, Joe, and how inclusive it really works. I mean, we have tomatoes, we have the onions, but beyond the vegetables, right, and the beef, we have 2 essential ingredients: soy sauce, which is essentially Chinese influence in Peruvian cooking, And we also have the ají amarillo, which is from Peru. So you have cultures mixing to create something better, to create this dish that is so aromatic. It has so many layers, and it just brings me back home. You know, it gives me the opportunity to transport myself back to my family gatherings, holidays, simply because smells and food can do that, right? It can bring
That's
us.
great. Great. My dish is getting really close. I know I cooked it really fast. It doesn't take very long. So I want to try to make sure those French fries moving because we want nice crispy fries on this plate.
All right, let's do that.
So we can re-drop the fries down, make them super crispy, and they'll be kind of part of the base of the dish.
Nice. All right, you can hear that sizzle right there. All right, so towards the end, right, you want to add a little bit of dry oregano just for that pungent taste.
Okay.
Of a dried herb. Just a little bit.
Got it.
We don't want to overpower flavors here. We want all the flavors to have an opportunity to be part of the dish. We don't want anybody to any ingredient to overpower.
No, I mean, and this is really good because, I mean, like you said, you don't want to overcook those onions, and, you know, the tomatoes go in, and they provide some really good texture with the dish because, I mean, you've got a lot of things happen. You've got juice from it. You've got all these things, and you got your really soft beef, so you're going to really want that balancing with the texture between the crunchy French fries and the onions still crunchy. So,
yes,
what a good balance.
And it's getting to be, it has a very nice broth, if you will. It's kind of like forming.
It is. It's you get your typical old school pan sauce.
Yeah.
I love it. And like I said, those tomatoes really help to kind of thicken up that juice so, you know, it doesn't run so thin.
Yes.
All right. How are your French fries doing over there?
I think they're doing all right. Let me get them out and plate them, right?
Yeah, we got one of the most important parts is the rice. And I know with you, I know you love rice. You know me. I'm Cape Verdean. I love rice. I grew up on rice almost every day, and I love the fact that any dish that you have that has a lot of juice that gets soaked into the rice, it is such a good thing. I mean, you always went back for seconds when that's the dish.
That's right. I mean, Joe, rice is life. I mean, the double carb on the plate just makes everything better, right? So with the rice, we're going to put some of the fries here.
A little bit of salt on the fries too.
Yes. A little bit of salt on them. Let's clean the plate so it looks nice. And just towards the end, right? You want to smell it again because it just smells wonderful.
Oh, mine's delicious. And that's going to go right on top of the French fries?
Right on top. You want those French fries to get all those flavors. Right on top.
Beautiful.
Like
even extra juice on top of my rice because I love it.
There's that too. Use your spatula to grab some of those juices and pour that on the rice. And just for everything to come together, Joe, I like to use a little bit of parsley. And I just like to go bam. And it just makes everything makes everything come together, right? And here you have this awesome dish, right, that blends so many cultures, so many histories, so many memories, so many parties, so many family gatherings, so many friendships. Yeah, food is awesome. Should we try it?
Yeah, we definitely should. I've been waiting for that, my friend.
All right, so why don't you try first? Good?
Delicious.
All right.
I mean, obviously, you're talking about 10 feet to start. You've got so many things going on. You've got instantly a little bit of heat sitting on your lips, you know, not where it's kind of like a hot sauce that kind of super burns you, but it just gives that nice afterburn. You've got a little bit of the vinegar coming through. You can taste a pinch of the cumin, lots of garlic in there, which is going on. It is just, not only does it look great to start, but It is delicious, and you got the crunchy fries, the texture, the onions are still crunchy. The rice, I immediately picked up with some of my steak right there because I love rice in the pan juice. Absolutely delicious. Great job, Luis.
Thank you, Joe. I'm salivating already, so let me give it a try. So I got a little bit of the fry here, a little bit of the beef, some onions. Let me get a piece of the tomato. And let's try this. I'm so good. This is so good.
It is delicious. I mean, simple ingredients, really making simply delicious food. I'm excited. And one of the things that you kind of really talked about in here is it's almost like a fusion of cooking. Like it's blending culture, it's blending diversity. I mean, talk about the Chinese influence, the soy sauce, and then, obviously the ají amarillo from the pepper standpoint, Peruvian, and really kind of blending cultures. And it really relates to, the time we are right now in our society and where we're going to be here at Bridgewater State University.
That's right, Joe. I mean, think about food and how food just connected us. We were able to talk about so many cultures, about so many infusions of how life becomes better. Just like this dish. It's such an amazing dish, simple, couple of ingredients, main ingredients, but just the flavors makes me think of my job and how I see diversity. Not so much as a definition, but really as a practice, right? How can we really continue to gather all of these experiences and make sense of them, understand them, and allow fusions to happen naturally, organically? I think that is my goal, and that is what I always try to do here at BSU, to complement differences and create something new and create something that is going to benefit not just us, but the future. And this is why I do the work that I do, and what a great opportunity to connect through food. So thank you for the opportunity, Joe.
You got it. I mean, I love the fact that, first and foremost, that we had really great food, but that you do a lot of things on campus. I mean, we've got an incoming community of students that are going through a lot of different changes as the society has changed over the last couple of months. Things have been kind of a little all over the place, and I think that you do a really great job of being able to connect conversations with your office.
Well, thank you for that. I mean, while I won't have food like this to offer you next time you come and talk to me, and because of COVID, we won't be able to see each other person to person, you can find my information right there, and you can contact me to create or to just schedule an appointment, create ideas, create new opportunities for yourself and for others. And I think that that's the essence of the work that we do. We get to be with students, we get to support them, we get to acknowledge their experiences, their growth, and support them in the process. And by providing conversation, an open space, a safe space where they can be themselves and acknowledge everything that surrounds them, but everything that also makes them who they are. I think that's key in supporting their maturity on campus and also their success.
And there's a lot going on. I mean, with vulnerable conversations that are happening right now, where people are kind of really kind of researching in themselves who they are, who they want to be, what things motivate them to be an activist within their own community. And I know that Bridgewater State is obviously huge into diversity and being able to show your culture. In the dining hall here, we try to really influence people to connect with us. Our part is food, and we talk so much about how food brings people together, and we have different programs. My Kitchen to You, where whether you be a student or faculty member, please contact us, and we can get together and kind of do what we're doing right now, is having an open conversation about what things are going on and showing really great food from your culture. So we have the opportunity to really kind of talk on campus of what we're doing. Not only that, but you can come into the dining halls and we'll feature these things, whether it be via Zoom, what we're doing now, or whether it be a meal for all of our students, our guests, our faculty here on campus. So, I mean, it's such a great thing that you're doing in your office, and I really hope that you guys can keep up the great work of what you do in your department.
Thank you so much. And you said something key right there. Being vulnerable, and there's nothing wrong with being vulnerable, because the uncomfortable makes us grow, makes us become better people, makes us enjoy life a little bit better by being friendlier and respectful to those that surround us, and make our society what it is today, a great one because of its diversity.
Awesome. Luis, I can't thank you enough for coming into the Bear's Kitchen with us, being able to show us not only an amazing recipe with the Lomo Saltado, but just coming in here and talking about how you and your team really are going to help students this semester come together into this great BS community that we've always had.
Thank you so much, Joe. And until next time, and please make the dish. You will love it, I promise you.
It is great. I can't wait to end this and pretty much finish and inhale this entire dish. So, Bears, thank you for coming to our kitchen. As always, be well, be good. Most importantly, again, be well. Take care, friends. We'll see you soon.
Thank you. Bye.